There's a young man, Dontrell Stephens. Some of you may remember this story. He was shot and paralyzed by the police. He actually won a $22 million settlement, but died before he could see a penny because of political maneuvering behind the scenes. Let me bring this to your attention. Let's put up a picture of this deceased young brother. The police did that to him, okay? They put him in that wheelchair. On September 13th, 2013, Dontrell Stephens left his home to take a routine bicycle ride through his West Palm Beach, Florida community. The then 20-year-old man was pulled over by Palm Beach County Sheriff's deputy named Adam Lynn for a bicycle infraction, riding your bicycle while black. Lynn got out of his patrol car and within 4 seconds shot at Mr. Stephens, who had stepped off his bike with his cell phone in his right hand. Stephens complied, but the officer said, "Oh, Stephens' cell phone was a gun," and shot at him 4 times, hitting him once, severing his spinal cord and leaving him paralyzed. Stephens was completely unarmed. He was just riding his bicycle, and within seconds of that cop encounter was shot and his life changed forever. Quality of life changed forever, okay? Let's put up a screenshot here. All right, that's the guy. He's the one who did it. For the next 3 years, Mr. Stephens fought for his life in federal court. A jury eventually awarded him $22.4 million. That was a settlement, as Stephens believed his life was changing for the better. He deserved the money, and without it, he couldn't afford to pay his hospital bills, therapy bills, as his health continued to deteriorate. Attorneys for Officer Lynn filed an appeal, here they go, in the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals throughout the guilty verdict and ordered a new trial for Officer Lynn. This meant Stephens would get no money and have to start his fight with the courts all over again. So here's what happened. Here comes Ron damn DeSantis, okay? June of 2020, Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida signed a $6 million settlement for Stephens. It miraculously passed the Republican-controlled legislature despite the Palm Beach County Sheriff Rick Bradshaw admittedly being against paying Stephens. Sheriff Bradshaw thought of Stephens as a drug dealer, even though there was no evidence of any of this, who didn't deserve anything. During the vote for the settlement, police tried to show photos of Stephens holding money and drugs on his social media account. They also brought up his 2 cocaine possession charges where he sold drugs to an undercover officer, had nothing to do with this situation. Despite the efforts to discredit Stephens, he was ultimately awarded $4.5 million in a trust fund and $1.5 million towards outstanding unpaid medical bills, a far cry from the 22+ million he won in federal court. Dontrell Stephens was finally victorious, right? Nope. It took a serious toll on his body, medical bills getting out of control. Stephens, who never walked again, died a year after Governor DeSantis approved that low-rate settlement. He was 28 years of age, nearly homeless. He was also a father figure to his brothers, who will now have to raise themselves. He did not see a dime, not a penny. He died homeless, basically, okay? This is why people are so adversarial in their sentiment toward the system of politics, the judicial system. This young man, we should have been fighting to make sure he got justice here. He was not selling drugs. He was not involved in criminal activity. The cop admitted he made a mistake. The young man had a cell phone and not a gun. But they still tried to crucify him and his credibility on social media. Previous encounters with law enforcement. This is how diabolical they are. Sister, what are your thoughts here?
I mean, first, I want to say rest in power to Dontrell Stephens. Just what a horrible, horrible situation he never should have had to be in the first place. And there's this doc, but maybe a lot of people out there don't. There's a concept in the law called making someone whole. Yeah. The settlement payment is meant to make someone whole. It's meant to be justice. But what would justice have really been? Not to have been shot in the first place, not to have to go through, fighting in the courts and all this, like his body deteriorating because of this. So what justice really looks like is systemic reform to save lives, and so that people don't have to fight these tough legal battles in the future.